Senator Bernie Sanders is feeling confident that he's got what it takes to win in 2016. Now, in a Spanish language interview with Univision's Jorge Ramos that actually aired yesterday, he talked to Jorge about different issues within the campaign, and he basically said this: "The last time we talked, you told me you were going to beat Hillary Clinton. Because of the Iraq vote, you thought back then it was very important. Do you still think that she's not inevitable, that you can beat her?" Now, Bernie Sanders answered back, "Absolutely. No question. I think every day we are doing better and better. We started off with a disadvantage. Not a whole lot of people knew who I was. But every day I think there are more people who know who I am and what our program is. The fact that we're talking about the grotesque level of income inequality, creating jobs, making public colleges and universities tuition-free, healthcare for all, as people hear that, they're saying, yeah, that's the kind of program we need." Exactly. That's exactly why the establishment is actually getting really worried about Bernie, and they're trying to shut him down. Now, there are different stages of that, of course. First, they ignored him. Then they're laughing at him. Now they're downright getting dirty. And I'll get into that into another segment. So when you break down the polls issue by issue, you can see that Bernie Sanders represents most of America. And that's why the establishment is worried. Now, I've got some examples for you. Income inequality. 60% of Americans agree with Bernie Sanders that the economic system unfairly favors the rich. 2/3 of the American public think the rich don't pay enough in taxes. They pay too little. And 2/3 think that CEO pay is just way too high. Issues that Bernie Sanders has been incredibly consistent about, and that has been his main platform, is basically putting a stop on those three things. What about Social Security? What about, like, different programs? Well, when it came to expanding Social Security, something that Bernie Sanders is in favor of, an average of 65% of Americans polled support expanding Social Security. Now, not cutting it, like what the Republicans like to say, what they advocate, and what some Democrats go along with. Now, a lot of Democrats are obviously against cutting Social Security, but remember, Barack Obama was prepared to put that on the table back during the debt ceiling negotiations. So, you know, some Democrats are okay with cutting Social Security. Bernie Sanders, well, he ain't like that. And he's also not a Democrat. And now he caucuses with the Democrats. But obviously he's much more liberal than most of the Democrats. That's going to get him in trouble. Now, back to how the American people actually feel. See, the American people aren't just Team Republican and Team Democrat. The American people are actually largely in the middle, in between those two parties. They don't identify strictly with one party or another. And neither does Bernie Sanders. And that's part of his appeal, I think. So, with 70% of respondents on the issue of Social Security said that they'd actually be less likely to support a candidate who wants to cut Social Security, who said that they would cut Social Security. So that's really, really important. That's an issue that we can get seniors on board with. A lot of seniors live on Social Security. They don't want to cut. And a lot of seniors also happen to vote Republican. Well, you can go after the senior vote right there by saying, look, we're not going to cut Social Security under any circumstance. In fact, vote for me, I'm going to expand Social Security. That's a winning issue. That's a popular issue. Now, a lot of Republicans get past that by saying, no, don't worry, we're not going to touch your Social Security. We're just going to fuck with everybody else's. But yours will be fine. We're not going to cut yours. That's some nice politicking there, guys. All right, other issues. Minimum wage. 63% of Americans support a federal minimum wage increase to $15 an hour by 2020. Now, you ask about $12.50? There's even more Americans, a majority of independents, Republicans, and Democrats, all support raising the minimum wage to $12.50 by 2020. Now, Bernie Sanders takes it a little far, and he still gets majority support. Issue by issue, man. Americans mostly agree with him. Now, one notable exception is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. A June survey by the Pew Research Center finds that 49% of Americans actually support President Obama on TPP. Now, Bernie Sanders, he's against the Trans-Pacific Partnership for good reason. Now, I'm against the Trans-Pacific Partnership for many different reasons. I'm not going to go into that here. But so is Bernie Sanders. Now, here's the thing. Hillary Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton's not taking a stance on TPP or on Keystone or anything else that Bernie Sanders has. And people like that. People admire him for him sticking to his guns, sticking to his principles, and sticking to his positions. People like his honesty. They know where he stands, unlike Hillary Clinton, who still refuses to take a stand on $15 minimum wage, Keystone, or TPP. My whole thing is that if you're going to run for president, well, you need to take a stand on some of the issues. Well, Hillary doesn't do that. This third way stuff that Hillary Clinton does, remember, she's a Clinton. She's a third way centrist establishment Democrat. That's not going to fly anymore. Not today. It used to. But it's not going to fly today. At least as far as I know. And look, I think the real reason that Hillary Clinton can actually stake out populist, progressive positions is because of the kind of financing she gets. Her donors. Her donors are mainly Wall Street so far. Sanders, however, he doesn't have to answer to Wall Street or to corporations. Only the people. And these people, they've given him $15 million in order to fight for their priorities. And I can guarantee that Bernie Sanders, he's going to fight for those people because that's what he does.